All right, everybody, welcome back to the channel. So we're doing a lot of content, or trying to, about AP exams and how to get the best score possible. This channel is mostly about AP computer science, and that's my background. I taught AP CSA, done a lot of tutoring, that kind of stuff to help students get the best grades possible. I also was a high school student at one point and took a bunch of AP exams. And so I want to share kind of how I think about it and how I think you should think about it so you can get the best score that you can on the test. And this will apply for computer science, for calculus, for stats, for history, for all of them, really. With nothing specific about STEM. So what is the exam? Where do the questions come from? The questions don't come from aliens. They're not magically created. A demon didn't create them. A person at the College Board, you could look them up on LinkedIn. They work at the College Board, and their job is to create questions for the exam. How do they do this? They have a list of topics, and this is publicly available. Everyone can see the list of topics, and your teacher gets the list of topics at the beginning of the school year, and that's how they decide what to teach you. So we're all on the same page there. Then the College Board employee makes the questions. They do them one at a time, and their goal is to make it so that they can hit a grade distribution. What does that mean? This is the table. I can move myself for a couple seconds here. This is the table from 2024. You don't need to look at these numbers that much, but people get different scores on the exam. So how do they do this? There are two sections for every AP exam. There's multiple choice and there are FRQs. So diving into this a little bit, what do you do when you see a multiple choice question? So let's just look at this. I'll give you 10 seconds to just kind of look and which one, if you can find the correct answer. Okay, I gave you 2 seconds. The correct answer is D. And so this is what you're doing on every question. So this is what I'm talking about mindset is, are you trying to find the correct answer? That's not how I would think about it. I would say, can you identify the incorrect answers? If you can identify the incorrect answers, then you're actually in a really good spot. And we're going to do one piece of multiplication in a second. If you're a calculus person, that's going to be awesome. If you're not, maybe it'll be a real challenge, but we're going to multiply and add just like 2 or 3 numbers together and you're going to see what happens. But there's like a couple of really bad answers for every question. Then there's, I don't know if you can see my mouse, hopefully you can, but B and C are really bad answers. A is an okay answer. E is the one, they're not trying to trick you, but the word distractor, maybe I didn't define it, but a distractor is an incorrect answer that to a student might seem correct. So they need to do this because they need some people to get the question wrong. If everybody gets all the questions right, the College Board employee did not do their job. So they've got to have some that are wrong. What we're trying to talk about is they're not fighting you. They're not trying to trick you. They're just trying to make a test where we go over all of the content from the school year and some people get some questions wrong. That's the goal. That's the whole goal. So when you see a question, first of all, you say, what is this about? I think I probably learned this year. If you can't remember anything about the question, you didn't learn it. If you're like, I know nothing about this, skip the question. Move on. You only have so much time. Don't spend 5 minutes on a question where you don't remember anything about it. If your teacher didn't teach you about the U.S. Civil War, and it's a question about the Civil War, yeah, you need to skip the question because you probably, it's going to be a little bit difficult, or integrals or whatever it is. Doesn't matter. But the point is, going back to here, they have a list of topics. They make the questions. They want to hit the grade distribution. Hitting the grade distribution means that some people get the question wrong. So your job is to find the right answer. There are 2 ways to find the right answer. It's to pick 1 out of 5 and be really smart, or it's to eliminate 4 out of 5. Or what I'm going to tell you is eliminate 3 out of 5. You only have to eliminate 3 out of 5 to get a good score on the test. Some of them you should know. Let's put it out there. Let's get half the questions right. So we've got my math here. Get 50% of the questions just straight up correct. Then on the remaining 50% of questions, guess between one of 2 answers. So this is like flipping a coin. So you did this probability question in 8th grade probably. What's 50% plus 0.5 times 50%? That's 75% of the multiple choice questions. Obviously, we're being a little bit aggressive. Maybe you won't get exactly this percentages right, but hopefully you get kind of close. If you're getting 75% of the multiple choice questions right, that's actually really good. Even if you guess between two and you get a 50% on the multiple choice, you have a good chance of getting a 3, 4, 5. That's just kind of what we want to say, what we want to know about multiple choice. So going back, identify the topic, identify the distractors, the ones that are clearly incorrect, and then hopefully you just find the correct answer. That'd be awesome. But if not, guessing between two is actually fine. And so this is the thing. Guessing between two is fine. People on the exam, they're like, I didn't find that. Like, if you have the bad attitude, if you have the wrong attitude, you're going to get to a question and it's going to be like, I couldn't figure out the answer. And then you're like, I'm a bad person. I didn't study enough. I got bad sleep last night. This is a disaster. I'm losing. And like, if that happens on question one and you can't decide between the correct answer and the difficult distractor, and then you start spiraling, that's going to be really bad for the test. So what you need to do is go in with confidence, understand what's going on in the complete picture, which is they're testing you on the topics and they want you to get a couple of them wrong. Cool. Play the game. Go along with it. It's all good. Get a couple of them wrong. There's going to be some guesswork required. You're not going to get every single one right. And the difficult distractor is supposed to be difficult because it's the AP test and it's hard. So, it is what it is. Cool. So we're 7 minutes in. I want to make this about a 10-minute video, so I think we're going right on time. FRQs. Here's a really, really, really important point on how your mindset should work and how you should think about FRQs. On FRQs, the way that they grade it is you earn points. You don't lose points. They're not looking at the correct answer and then figuring out what you did wrong. They're looking at an empty sheet of paper, looking at your sheet of paper, and asking what you did right. And who's grading the FRQs? Do you guys know who grades them? It's a bunch of high school teachers who they pay to fly out to some random hotel. I think this is still how they do it. They fly them out to some random place, pay them a decent amount of money, and they sit down and they just grind out tests. And they're not looking at them that fast, and they can't see your name. They can't see what school you went to. They don't know what you ate on the day before the test, and they don't know how much you studied. They're just looking at the question. They're looking at your answer. They're looking at their rubric, which is their scoring system. And they're saying, what did this student do to earn points, to get points on the question? So what that means is that you've got to write some stuff for the FRQ to earn some points. You don't need to nail it. You don't need to get it perfectly right. I'm not going to go to the scoring calculator, but you should Google scoring calculator for your test and figure out what needs to happen. I'm going to tell you right now, if you get half of the multiple choice right and half credit on all the FRQs, you're going to do decent. I'm pretty sure on every single AP test you're going to pass. So on the FRQs, you have a blank piece of paper. You need to write stuff down to earn points. So things that are if it's a computer science question, write a couple of lines of code that you know are related to the question. If it's a history essay, write a couple of facts that you know are related to the question. If it's English, read the passage or whatever and put in a quote from the thing that makes sense and explain it in a couple sentences. Calculus, write down the first couple of setup steps. Maybe you don't remember all the rules for the derivatives, but you take the derivative of something. You know that the derivative of x squared is 2x. So at least get that part right and you'll earn a couple of points. So you don't have to nail it. You don't have to get it perfectly correct. That's kind of how it works. So in general, actually with all of this, probably the right way to think about it, the right mindset is, how do I earn points on the test? And just to review everything, you earn points on the test by identifying what it is that they taught you, finding incorrect answers for the multiple choice, and then guessing the correct answer. And hopefully you're guessing between one option because you identified every incorrect answer. You're getting a bunch of points on the multiple choice. You go to the FRQs, you sit down, and you find what are all the things that I know about this that I can put down on the paper to earn points. So we're just about at 10 minutes here, so I'm going to close up the video, but I hope this was helpful. We're going to post more content on this channel about computer science and just in general. If you want to like, comment, subscribe, that's kind of more of our focus here, but I wanted this to be a generally helpful thing. So if you're in computer science class and you got a bunch of tests, this applies. And if you're just finding this video and you only take the history test, this should apply too. So good luck on the test, everybody. Have fun studying, and we'll post some more videos here soon.